Dan desired everything, every palpable and solid thing. His bowels were the archetypal consumer. He wished to take in every object he saw, to bring it home to himself. His need was to stock himself up and fill to repletion some shifting internal vacancy. He had warehouses of empty space within. He had caverns waiting and shouting their hunger in misty outlines that would not know themselves until they were filled. Dan, like many boys, put signposts on his eyes to advertise the hunger of his soul. He barracked for attention. He called out over and over. As soon as he had been fed, he yelled and demanded more. His capacity was limitless. He exhausted himself and his family with insatiable beggary. During his adolescence, his desire was so dense, the world around him would warp. Its features and walls would curve toward him. When things got so close to him that he could no longer see them, he glimpsed their sudden distortion, their elongation and collapse, their disappearance into him. Things came unstuck and tore away and spiraled into him rapidly, twisting and falling, disappearing into where he stood. He was a cosmic density dragging the world toward himself. He consumed the world as he walked through it, swallowed it up. All this time, in the pit of his soul, as they term it, he was trying to lay foundations, to build a house. But Dan could find no solid ground. As much as he filled, everything fell further, deeper down. The hardcore, the aggregate, the rubble and cement poured down the slipway of a great turning mixer, poured into him, into the position which they had to fix and hold securely before the greater, ordered architect's building could be built. But the broken bricks of things and the gravel of the sky churned and disappeared into the invisible, all-consuming darkness of the earth and could lay no firm foundation. He could not pace out the length of his walls or even sketch the blueprint of his structures. Everything sank so quickly into the implacable, bottomless quicksand of his soul. Televisions and game consoles, easy chairs and wicker baskets, rugs and three-piece suites, telephones, computers, the bedrooms of his friends, filing cabinets and refrigerators, cameras, desks and ride-on mowers, cushions, beanbags, baths and showers, comfortable and soft furnishings of all sorts, shoes, SUVs, everything. But as soon as he turned away from the things he'd saved in order to look for more, the stuffness of the stuff disappeared. All the previous stock was gone, sunk without a trace. He swallowed cars and trucks and buses as he walked along the street, houses, churches, factories and pools. He drank in oceans in every detail. He looked long and hard so as not to miss that one ineffable element which might sustain them all. He arranged the world in the projection room of his soul and caressed things there, where he felt his self to be, in the auditorium of his mind. He inducted characters to this location, the figures of people he had seen, the faces of people he had met, images he'd culled from magazines. He consumed people like Happy Meals. They occupied the fragile habitat of his dreams, where he begged them not to masquerade, but to be, where he bestowed them with autonomy and tried to make them real, hoped they would surprise him. And all this while he monitored, searched, listened for the trick of things that would make them endure and last and abide. Scenario after scenario, desire after desire. Then he blinked, then he sneezed, and they were gone, and here he was again, in the depths of his inexplicable self. So this was how Dan felt. Often he thought that this was all back to front, that sex should be the other way round, an outward vector. He wanted sex to make him feel more outside himself, not inward-looking. But perhaps that was love. He remembered last night.